Hi, Jim from mavestar Observatory. Welcome to poleshiftnews.com. Guys, we've had some data come in from Kentucky over the last week, Hong Kong, and recently from Perth, Australia. And as you know, we had a little bit of a dilemma going on in Australia with one of our magnetometers flatlining. So if you're interested in finding out what's been going on with that, stay tuned. We'll get into that data a little bit later, but I will say this, something interesting happening in Hong Kong. Give me your views on that. There's been a slight decay over the period of time that we've been recording it, but we'll come to that a bit later on. So as usual, guys, big thanks to the support that we get. You know what we do, a little bit more than talk. We actually build devices over here. I know one of our systems is down at the moment, and that's due to some work going on with the property that we're in right now. The roof's been replaced, and of course they've scaffolded the whole lot, which is starting to be removed now. So with a bit of luck, tomorrow we may be switching the TriMag system and the magnetosphere sensor back online and getting them up and running. But as usual, I just want to say big thanks to the support that we get. And I will say this as well, guys, because I took a little bit of time out last month, we're now going to have to pick up that slack with regards to that. We're lagging behind 48%, so we're down 48% on the month's average of what we raise for our observatory. So I'm just hoping that a few people will help pick up a bit of that slack. So let's get in and have a look at that data. Let's do it. So starting with one of our superstars, and they're all superstars that have got our magnetometers in their homes and they're collecting the data for us. But let's start with Brad's in Kentucky. As you can see, over the recorded period of time from the 28th of the 7th 2019 to the 8th of the 9th 2019, there has been a slight decay in the intensity of that magnetic field over there in Kentucky. Let's compare that with the one that we had recently in Perth, because we're back online now with Perth, and we're also back online with the Gold Coast, and I believe any minute now we'll be getting some data from the Gold Coast, and we will be able to have a look at what's going on with that as well. So as you can see, we're looking at the data from Perth, Australia, and Jeff has had a few problems with the magnetometer. If we just look at some of the readings that we had before with the old magnetometer, and if you didn't know, we'd sent him out one recently, a new one, because we thought that this was a little bit too good to be true. If the readings what we were looking at were correct, what we would have been looking at is a real major intensity of magnetism over that region, where that high intensity is moving up over the continent of Australia right now. So what we did is we sent out a new magnetometer to Jeff, and as you can see, we're getting these scattered readings, which is perfectly normal. So it's going to be a matter of time now before we can start collecting the data, and as we do, I'll increase the resolution on the left hand side of the screen so that we can get all the chart, so we can get a good look on what is going on over the range that it's collected. But as you can see, this is data we're looking at from the 14th of the 9th 2019 to the 6th of the 10th 2019, and Jeff did tell me that he moved the magnetometer because at one point he was running them side by side, and then he moved them, and we can see that there's a little jump up where it goes over the 60,000 nanotesla, and from the point then where it's been settled down, there has been a slight increase in the intensity of that magnetism in that region over that period of time. Let's then get into the the data that has recently come from another one of our superstars, Tony, down in Hong Kong. So we're looking at the data from Tony in Hong Kong, China, and what we can see, or what I have noticed, is that there's been a slight decay over the recorded times that Tony has sent data to us. So I'm not going to go out on any assumptions right now. I'll just bring it to your attention that it has been at some points over 18 microteslas, and sometimes for a prolonged period of time. So the readings that we're getting now are, obviously we can't take this first one into the equation, because this was just test data. But the most recent ones, if you look, it's 18.5 and then rises up to 19, then 18. A couple of times it peaks over the 19, but generally stays around the 18 line. And most recently there was a drop from 18 to 17, and kept there. But now we have at one point peaked just for the first time below 16. So it's going to be interesting keeping our eye on that, on what's going on. And I'll show you what I think might be the cause, if there is anything in there to do with that, and why that might be. Let's get the map up of the magnetic intensity over those regions. So as you probably know, Hong Kong's in this region here, and we've got this mid-Atlantic anomaly, which is the lowest intensity of magnetic field. And I think if Tony's data is coming back and it's reducing, then what could be one of the explanations for that? I mean, it's early times yet. We want to see a continual decline over a longer period of time. But what could be one of the reasons for this is that this low intensity could be increasing into that region there. And if that is the case, then that's going to be surprising, because you would think that the North Pole, or this Siberian pole, and the Australian pole, which is lurching up towards each other, are attracting each other, would force out this low intensity. So if the low intensity is overpowering the high intensities of the magnetic region, then obviously something could be going on with the core of our Earth with relationship to how the magnetic fields are actually created. So it'll be interesting to just sit on the wall and just watch what goes on from this point in time. Let's see if there's more decay there. And as you know, guys, we're still collecting data from both sides of Australia right now, Perth and on the Gold Coast. And hopefully at some point we will have magnetometers a bit further north and over the equator on the monitoring the Siberian pole. So it's interesting, guys, with regards to the data, just showing a slight decrease over in the Hong Kong China region where we're collecting data at the moment. So I thought it's well worth a mention of that. So guys, I'm going to leave it here, but before I do, I just want to say I'm really tempted to print screen right now and draw that little face that these images of the sun requires. But on a serious note, there's no solar activity to talk of. I mean, as you can see, the X-rays are low, the protons are low, and the K index is really in the normal range. And there are no sunspots, and for that reason, I don't think that we have, like other people are mentioning, entered into solar cycle 25. And until we really see some sunspot activity, that will be the line that we cross from solar cycle 24 into solar cycle 25. And as we have seen over the last month, there's been very little solar activity. So guys, I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully I can get back to you tomorrow to let you know that they have removed the scaffolding and we bring back online our TriMag system and our magnetosphere sensor, and we can collect a good week's worth of data, and with that we'll be able to locate the magnetic North Pole at its current location. So all's going according to plan. We've still got the muon detector, which I've set a personal deadline of getting finished at least one of these. Now there's only a few components to get soldered onto the board and finish, but before that we've got to receive them. Now I believe we've had some post lost here in the UK over the last couple of weeks while I've been away, because there was a couple of cards that had been posted through the door to say that we'd missed parcels, and it seems like now that they have completely given up on that. So I've got a bit of chasing up to do with regards to that, but regardless, anyhow, I'm going to reorder those parts, and if we get the the delivery of those parts at a later date, at least they won't go to waste. We've got 20 muon detectors to build and put out globally, so we can start collecting data on that all important cosmic radiation that's inbound in our atmosphere as a result of a grand solar minimum and a magnetic pole reversal. So guys, I'm going to wish you the best of the week. Hopefully you'll hear from me tomorrow saying that we've got the switch back on, everything's running nice and smooth, and we're collecting data. And I will just mention, just finally, the link there, guys. We're 40 odd percent, at least 48% down on the revenue that we raised for this observatory for this month. And that's my fault, because I went away for a couple of weeks, but there you go, you can't not have a break. And it'd be great if a few people would just help pick up a bit of that slack for us, just so that at least we keep on the level that we have done over the previous months, and not completely decay into oblivion with it. So the links are down there, guys. If you want to support us on PayPal, the link's there, and there's also the Patreon link. And we've lost around 5 patrons over the last few days, so as a result of me going away, perhaps they've decided that they're not going to support it anymore. But you can't win over everybody, can you, guys? So I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, with some more information, and hopefully I'll be switching on the Trimag system and the magnetosphere. And if that's going to be the case, it's going to be all good, guys. I'm going to say what I usually do. Have a great week, and as always, bye for now.